Steven and Larry, and we're talking Swish.
Welcome back, everyone. Talking Swish has returned after another long hiatus. We were doing some rebranding, some reamping, but I'm not here alone. Today I have my podcast brother, Steven Dykman. How are you doing today, man?
Good. And excited to introduce our third member that's coming on today.
Whoa, is he just coming on today?
Well, he's been on before, but he's officially joining the podcast with us today, which is pretty exciting. He's going to do these every week with us now.
Yep, he is going to be our new full-time podcast brother. We'll call him like step brother right now. I don't know if he's actually crossed the threshold yet. I don't know. But without further ado, let's introduce Duy. I don't actually know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to pretend like I can.
It's Vu, man. What?
Is it just Vu? I don't know. Every time. Have you ever seen me? Whenever I say faux, people make fun of me. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
God. Jeez.
I thought you were going to say my full name. My full name is awkward.
Oh, there's no way I was attempting that. Wait till next week when we have Noah on the cast, and I'll be like, this is Noah H.
Noah H.
But thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate being able to join you guys for these weekly from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. I was just worried. I was like, I think Dewey gets too much sleep for work. What can we do to interrupt that? Oh, I know what. I know what we'll do. We'll bring him on the podcast.
Make it so he doesn't get any sleep.
Nice.
Yeah, Dewey, it's great to have you on. I know you when Steven had some other ventures he had to do during the week, whether it was birthday parties and stuff. You were able to step in as the assistant co-host for those weeks, and we've had you on as an actual guest for interview segments too, haven't we?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. So you're familiar with what we do. We sat down, we restructured a format for the podcast going forward. For those that have been looking through the uploads, now they're listed as episode A, episode B, and everything. Usually those have different criteria, just to go over that a little bit for those that are unfamiliar and are a little confused and caught off guard. Episode A is we're just going to take some format deep dives. We're going to recap some local or national tournaments that's going on, and then go over some upcoming tournaments for everyone. Just a nice little introduction episode for those that just have a little bit of time. They just want to listen to a quick podcast. That's what we're here to do. Episode B is more of the long-running podcast form. We'll have like our basic introductions along with a main topic of the week that you, as people watch, whether it's being preview season, modern format. Like today, we're going to be talking modern in that episode. And then we always have our interview segment along with it. It's a little bit longer. Usually it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour long episodes. But we try to cover a little bit of everything for whatever catches people's fancy. And it is an idea that Dewey actually came up with, so he's already putting his work in. It's about time he does something.
Have to pull my weight,
You did.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong. I know, Dewey, you like hot food, right?
I do enjoy hot food. I think it comes with the territory of being Vietnamese.
This is very true. Steven, on the other hand, does not. So, more reason for us to do a one-chip challenge.
Oof, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be like, but that's going to be a special episode because we need to find a way to record that live in person. We have to be in the same room for it. So, the one-chip challenge might be a special video of its own that we will, morph into everything. We'll have to get together for that.
We'll make it happen.
And I think because nobody knows us except us, Dewey was actually supposed to draft with us a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he no-showed us for no reason.
No reason at all. No reason at all. Just a monster.
He comes up with this lie, something about his car wouldn't run, and then he wouldn't even Uber to us.
I for a hot second, looked at the Uber costs. As a man that may or may not know what that cost is, do you have any idea what that is?
Yeah, $50.
$50? $50 would be a steal. $50 would be a steal, okay? if we were to go from where I live on the east side of the state, okay, and we're gonna use my parents' house as a basis for where we're gonna be going, I want to say one way only was a couple hundred easily.
So we're not worth money to you. Is
Oh
that-
yeah, $200.
So we're
I
not.
could, however, get the Uber Comfort for 196 or the Uber XL for 240.
Listen, I offered to bring you back at the same rate.
That doesn't save me any money.
Jeez.
But I was gonna say we are gonna get together and do that on One Chip Challenge. I think
for sure.
I think
We'll
it'll be
make it
fun.
happen.
And if I've learned anything, I don't know, have you got a chance to watch our first one on YouTube?
You know, I haven't, but I'll watch it to prepare for this when I finally do mine.
Oh, being able to experience it with Steven is amazing. Honestly, when we're bringing new members on for Swish, why are we not making that be like you have to do that to enter?
I feel like that falls under this this right of not being able to subject to like irregular punishment, right?
Really? I thought it was no different than hazing.
That's like also against the rules now. Like most people
Oh,
have
really?
that outlawed now.
Oh, I didn't even know that. That's weak.
Yeah.
That's weak.
Oh. Yeah, like it's a pretty common thing now that's just like straight up not allowed.
Oh, I really had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. Steven be hazing all the time. Everybody listening,
No.
turn him in.
Yes, he's the one that's hazing, huh?
Yeah, I can't believe it. I'm like, Steven, the audacity. But yeah, Dewey, we're glad to have you on. We'll definitely get that scheduled. No, tentative date at this point, obviously, but we'll make it happen. Ooh, Indiana. Ooh,
We could do it for Indiana.
we
Good.
could, and then we can make Jeff do it.
I don't think you'll get him to do it, but we could definitely give it the college try.
We'll tell him it's a Dorito.
I don't know if he'll believe you.
That's rude.
I don't even know if they'll bait him into doing it, to be honest.
No, I'll be like, Jeff, you know you want this Dorito. Don't smell it, though.
Don't smell it.
He's already got a sensitive enough stomach as it is. You're gonna give it
Oh
a
my God.
challenge.
We're going to kill Jeff. Why would you guys do this? I'm telling him what y'all want to do. I can't believe y'all. Wow. That's so rude.
Actual monster.
Actual monster. But what have you been up to, Dewey? I know you've been having car issues. So,
Just living the dream. I moved to the east side of the state for work. After doing that, I started that and bought a house, got a puppy, and then looking towards building up some new stuff with Magic, working on that, buying way too many cards.
yeah,
Probably
it's
more
not
than I
hard to
need.
do. Not hard to do, right?
It's definitely
Yeah.
one of the things that you just find yourself doing more and more, and you're like, wait, I wasn't supposed to buy that.
You're like, darn it. What am I doing? But yeah, I'm glad you bought a house. It looks like you're doing the right direction. Got a job that you're enjoying. I know we're all going to be getting together to go to a baseball game in August sometime, which is going to be always fun. And before that, we get to start joining each other because we've been playing a lot of Magic these last few months together, all three of us.
Oh yeah.
And I think we've all benefited from it too.
Oh yeah, a ton.
I know. I'm super excited to be able to play some paper tournaments with you guys. I know me and you are doing a team event in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it's next week on the 17th.
Oh yeah, because I forgot what day. Yeah, next week we're doing a Modern Unified tournament. We'll get into that a little bit later on the more what that means. And me and Steven's doing a tournament this weekend, which we'll be going over that in the upcoming tournaments later in this episode.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a little bit about formats that have been shaken up. Modern Horizons just came out a few weeks ago. Legacy and Modern has been impacted heavily from it. I heard Popper got some fun little toys too.
Certainly did.
In Chatterstorm.
Yep,
We're not here to. Sorry, go ahead.
They definitely shook up that format as well.
Oh yeah, and we're obviously not here to talk just about what's it called, Pauper by any means. We'll have to dedicate an episode once we start playing the format, because I'm not gonna be very helpful talking to you guys about Pauper.
Sure.
As a professional goblins and burn player, I will say this: that I know nothing. But
hey, they got a home for you in there.
They do. We got this. But we're gonna talk a little. We'll take a little deep dive into the modern format, since it is Modern Horizons, and we're gonna be talking all modern, whether it's gonna be Horizons, all that in the next episode, in episode B. But the format deep dive, we're just gonna have like some tournament recaps. Let's all talk about one deck that we in particular, like, that's a new archetype that we think is actually pretty sweet in general, based off our opinion. Steven, what archetype are you a big fan of right now that wasn't an archetype before Horizons?
I think my favorite deck is probably the black-white mid-range deck that's like playing Dothy Voidwalker, which, for those that don't know, is the 2 mana. It's a black-black. It's a 3/2 shadow creature. And whenever a card would go into your opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you exile it with some sort of counter on it. I think it's a time counter or something. And then you may tap and sacrifice Dothy Voidwalker to cast. Actually, it doesn't even say cast. It says you may play the card for free. So you can actually play your opponent's lands if that's relevant too.
Saga!
But anyway, the card is just like incredibly good because first of all, it's really good at pressuring because it can't be blocked by anything unless that thing randomly has shadow. Usually the only thing ever blocking it is another Dothy. And then just the free casting, any spell that you Thoughtseize, or any land, I guess, if you want to land. But usually you're going to be, the most impactful thing you're going to do with this card is like Thoughtseize a Primeval Titan, or this last week at FNM, I was playing a different deck, but with Dothy in the deck, and I Dothy'd an Avenger of Zendikar from Amulet Titan. Last week, I Dothy'd a Primeval Titan. I had an opponent just like cut the Through the Breach Emrakul plan against me because they were horrified of getting the Emrakul Thoughtseized with a Dothy, and then I just win immediately by casting it for free. But anyway, the card's just insane because it pressures. It's randomly graveyard hate in the main deck of these mid-range decks, which mid-range decks usually have been a total dog to graveyard decks in the past, which they are not anymore. It also is actually pretty good against aggressive decks, especially if you're playing a Lurrus build, because you can use removal to kill their threats and then cast their threats with Dothy and then replay Dothy and then kill their threat and cast their threat with Dothy. It does a lot of really good things. So that card's really, really impressive. But some other things I really like about Black-White is it gets to play Vindicate, which is just a clean answer to anything, which is just a really good effect to have in your deck. And then the new equipment, I'm blanking on the name of it right now. I think it's called
Cauldra Complete.
Cauldra Complete. Thank you, Dewey. Is a really good addition for these Stoneforge decks because it gives you kind of like how Batterskull is like the anti-aggressive, really strong equipment. You now have like a very quick combo or control equipment that can just kill very quick and is a really annoying threat for people to deal with because of the indestructible. And I also really like that it's a white deck, so in the sideboard you can play things like Fragmentize, which are very, very good against random decks like Enchantress, and are also 1-mana kill spells for Urza Saga. You can play Kataki War's Wage, which is a pretty strong sideboard card right now. And I just, I think it's generally a pretty powerful deck. My only knock on it right now is the way people are building it. I think it has a few too many 3-drops. So if I put more time into that deck, I think I'll want to make the curve slightly better. But overall, I think the deck is pretty strong. So that's my favorite.
Okay, Black-White Vindicate is very, very good mid-range deck right now, in my opinion, as well. Dewey, what about you? What are you feeling that wasn't an archetype previously?
I think the favorite for me is because I have, pains from when Mox got banned and I lost my Urza deck. Is the Urza kitchen deck, and it's kind of cheating because it's like 3 or 4 different versions of this deck that's floating around. Either you get like the black red version. I think the very popular version is the green black version, and then you have either the blue red or the Grixis version now playing it, and the they all have strengths and weaknesses, but I'm a big fan of the Grixis version as a whole because that's the version that allows you to play Urza. You play Emery, you play Thought Monitors, you draw extra cards. You're doing the Asmo. I'm not going to say the name.
I'm gonna
Asmo.
I actually need you to because nobody knows what the Asmo
Nobody,
is.
nobody. Okay, so Asmor Ranomordic Cadex Tacular.
Are you sure that's correct?
Nice.
Would you be willing
I've
to
skipped
put
at least
money?
three.
Would you?
I've easily skipped 3 syllables to know.
I'm gonna be willing to put money on this. So you're giving lies to these people on your first day. Is that what you're doing?
Absolute lies. Absolute lies on my first day.
I would say it, but it wasn't the deck I picked.
Fair.
I never
feel
say
like you said-
Asmo. I say the phone name every time.
Oh, of course. But if anyone isn't aware of what that deck does, you can't cast the Asmor unless you have discarded a card that turn. But then if you do, it costs a black or a red, and then it allows you to go get Cookbook. Underworld Cookbook. Underworld Cookbook is a 1-drop artifact that lets you discard a card from your hand and create a food. You can also pay for, sack it, and tap it, and go get a creature from your graveyard and put it back in your hand. And so this combos really well with Oval Chase Daredevil. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield, if it's in your graveyard, you can then put it back into your hand. So the card, those 3 alone is the main engine, and then other decks have picked up different ways to abuse that engine. The green-black version tries to power it out either through Street Wraith discards or using the cookbook itself or using Finale of Devastation. The Grixis version uses, lets it do its own thing, but then also plays on the Ragavan, Emery, Urza, making tons of artifacts. And all this is combined, of course, with the breakout All-Star land, which is Urza Saga, and that's in like every deck right now.
Yep.
No, that deck is definitely sweet. Like, I think that deck is really cool. I don't know if it's like the best thing you could be doing in Modern, but it is one of the most fun things you can do in Modern. I like Urza though, so I'm a little biased.
Yeah.
Any thoughts you had on that deck, Steven, before I jump into mine?
Yeah, I think I've been fairly impressed with all the Urza cookbook decks as well. I'm interested to see how those decks will adapt moving forward. I'm curious if there will ever be like a good version that's like more oriented to like playing counter spells such as Archmage's Charm and Cryptic Command again, kind of like we saw in the past with the Urza decks. But yeah, I definitely think they're strong decks, and I think they're in their early iterations right now, and they will get better. So.
Yeah, I agree that they're in their early iterations because you're seeing so many different variants of that deck pop up left and right. And there's tweaks left and right as well on how they want to do that build. There's the core of it that they can't really touch, which is understandable, but you start to see other ones that are just, I don't know. We saw a blue-white version. A blue-white version that said we're going to try to play a little bit more of a controlling game and see if that works out too. So,
Yep.
Yeah, no, definitely agreed there. Like I said, I think the deck's thing, and even if you don't want to do the Urza version, but you still want to play all the cookbook shenanigans, you got the black-green version, which is very popular among players. It doesn't do as well, like statistic-wise, when you have results, at least in the recent weeks. But it's still, I think, it's fine. Like, it has had hits here and there. Like, this weekend, it's had a hit in, one of the challenges, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I think it had the best hit in one of the challenges. I'm looking at one right now, and I think the black-green got 11th or something, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's the one I was speaking of. It was the one that took 11th.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll be digging into that a little bit as well. But the deck that I'm looking that I like, and I think it's just like that blue-red Delver style deck that has the same concept as Legacy, but instead they're doing like you have the new 1-mana red Delver, which is even better because you don't have to be so stressed about the 1-mana the blind flips. Instead, you got the Delirium, and it also has a triggered ability whenever you cast a non-creature spell. You get to go ahead and surveil the top card of your library, which is super powerful.
Card is unbelievable, man. I was playing black-red this week, and there were a few games where I had like 2 in play, and it's just so stupidly good.
So good. So good. So you got that, and I'm a big fan of Murktide, which I was telling people when I first saw that was going to be replacing Forager in Legacy. And what did it do? It replaced Forager in Legacy, because you know why? Forager was good, but it honestly was not that good because Lightning Bolt's so prominent in that format. But you're not going to bolt no 8 power creature like this 8/8.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And then I found out it took me forever to find out that when other spells get exiled from your graveyard, it keeps getting counters.
Yep.
I had no idea about that. No idea.
That big mistake.
Didn't know, and I was like, oh, okay. That's awesome. That's even better than I thought. I already had it at face value as just a delve. I was like, mono blue Tombstalker? Let's go. Oh, you get more. Let's go.
Yep.
I think that deck's good, and it's just a good little tempo deck. It does everything you want to do. It's similar to what Legacy does. You're just accumulating value, and you're hitting on the ground, and it's playing the card that's taken over Legacy in some forms, and that's Ragavan, which I think's an awesome card.
Yeah.
It's just a good value engine. I think that's why Black-Red, which we'll talk a little bit more about that deck a little bit later, but it's just these Black-Red decks, these Blue-Red decks get these. They don't have to just have draw spells. They can also have these cards that's just going and generating value on its own. And it's just so good. And Expressive Iteration is just such a good card, man.
Yeah.
That card is nuts. And I think this might be the best counterspell deck, too.
Yeah, that deck, I want to say, had over the weekend was the best performing deck, if I'm not mistaken.
It was this weekend, yep.
Don't get me wrong. We all know what the most powerful one-drop in Modern Horizons is. We can come to that conclusion, right?
You're right, it's Emery.
No, it's Brainstone. I said Modern Horizons.
Emery.
I'm so pretty
it's a 3-drop.
No, that's a 1-drop for sure. I've only ever spent 1 mana on that card.
Yikes. Dewey misheard the question.
A little bit. Yo, I love it. He's like Emery. You know,
no, it is Brainstone. Brainstone is. I think that card has more legs than people give credit for.
Yo, I was just trolling about it, and then I played it on Friday, and that card's actually good.
I know you were trolling them, and I was like, I don't know if he realizes that it actually is a serious statement at this point.
No, it's definitely a good card.
I also found out that Yawgmoth is actually really good. I'm no longer gonna say that deck sucks.
Yeah, the league that we ran with that card, I will say we were playing that deck so wrong.
We sucked. We sucked.
Yes.
We played that deck wrong in 4 different ways.
Yeah, but
now that I got an understanding, which I want to take a little dive on that a little bit later too. That'll probably be in the next in episode B, to be fair. But let's talk about the tournament recap. All right, we have 2 modern challenges. Steven, I'm going to let you take the realms on the blue-red winning one, and I'll take the realms on the... And I'll actually, Dewey, you could take the realms on the one that Hammer Time went on.
Okay.
We're just going to talk about...
I currently have the Hammer Time one up, so hold up. Let me switch.
Okay. I know you are on the fence about playing the blue-red deck, so I figured that's why I would let you. What I want to do is just talk about the top 8 lists briefly, and also the metagame summaries.
Okay.
Oh, and let's talk about the most played cards too, because that's funny too. Because not just funny, but it's actually very informational to show you how the format's looking. And then the metagame summary is the most important one to me, because I want to compare the two. And then Dewey, you're the math whiz, you can do that.
Is it because I'm Asian?
Good.
Actually,
Lord.
yes. And also, you give me hell about don't sell. We can't open chests. This is money, even though it's money that that doesn't exist.
EV,
We're
man.
losing money.
It's all about EV.
Larry, could you do me a favor and just shoot me over
Oh,
a link?
just do the hammer time one. It ain't that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair
just
enough.
do it. You pull up the one that blue-red one with. It's going to be the modern.
I got it.
Yeah, you got it. See how hard.
Third
was
place. Third place modern challenge.
that? Yeah, it should be like blue-red, crashing footfalls, living end is the top 3 decks.
Mhm.
Yep.
Nice.
All right, Steven, you can go ahead and lead the way. Let's just go ahead
All right.
and run down what all top 8, and then you can jump into some of the
for
lists.
now we'll just talk about what the decks were. So first place, Crusher Bot BG got first place with Hammer Time. For those that don't know, Hammer Time is basically a deck that abuses a card called Steel Shaper's Gift, which is an enchantment for 1 white mana that allows you to play equipments at instant speed. They all have flash, and then when they enter, they equip immediately. You don't have to pay the equip cost. And so what they do is they abuse Steel Shaper's Gift and Colossal Hammer. Colossal Hammer is a 1 mana equipment that gives your creature +10/+10, and it loses flying. And since the Colossal Hammer or Colossus Hammer has flash, what they'll do is sometimes they'll fire up an Inkmoth Nexus, and then you'll declare no blocks, and then they'll just throw Hammer on it, and you die to 11 Infect. Other times they'll throw the hammer on something as seemingly meaningless as an Ornithopter or a Memnite, and then they can combine the hammer with Shadow Spear, which gives the creature trample as well, and lifelinks. You're taking massive amounts of damage very quickly for very cheap. And that's kind of what that deck is doing. I won't go too much more into
One
detail
other
there.
thing they do, just to chime in, one other nifty thing that you'll see a lot of people do is they'll attach the hammer, they'll animate Inkmoth, attach the hammer, then they'll reanimate Inkmoth so it regains the flying.
Yep, that's cool. All right, second place here, we've got Hardened Scales, actually, remade in appearance here. Pretty much the classic Hardened Scales stuff. Really not a whole lot of new stuff going on. Obviously, they're an Urza Saga deck. They're playing, let's see, another card. Power Depot is a land from Modern Horizons that has modular 1. And then you can add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts. So that's kind of a new tool they've got in there. Enters the battlefield tapped. They're playing 2 of that. They play a couple, let's see here, Llanowar Reborns, but mostly the same stuff that Hardened Scales has done in the past. Nothing too crazy in the sideboard here either. Third place, Gershi, and second place here, the username was Thurf. But third place here, we've got Gershi. They played the blue-red Murktide deck that Larry was just referring to a second ago. The deck that seemingly had the most success this weekend. Got third place here. Murktide Regent, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Ragavan, 1 Brazen Borrower, which I'd imagine is a hedge to opposing Murktide Regents, as well as potentially just random annoying stuff like stuff that is in Enchantress. A Brazen Borrower might be useful there. Some 4 counterspell, 1 of Force and Negation, but mostly what you would expect from the deck. Sideboard, nothing too crazy. One thing I do think is interesting is they're playing an Entrancing Melody, which could be kind of sweet.
I think that's a really good call because that can take can take your tokens without any issues.
Yep. Very, very, very solid ad there. They're also playing a 1 of Invasive Surgery in the sideboard, which is a 1 mana counter a sorcery spell, and then if you have Delirium, you look at your opponent's hand, you exile all of that same spell from their hand as well as their deck and graveyard.
Extractions, yeah.
Yep. It extractions if you have Delirium. That's kind of a cool.
Oh, that's actually pretty good against the Cascade decks because you just hit all of that nonsense.
Or Living End too. Then we've got Dexta at 4th place with looks like Death Shadow. Looks like Grixis Death Shadow. The blue is for Drown in the Lock in the main deck. And then out of the sideboard, they have Counterspell and 1 Stubborn Denial, as well as a single copy of Hurkyl's Recall. And then pretty much all the other stuff in here is what you would expect out of a black-red Shadow deck: Lightning Bolt, Unholy Heat, Kalagan's Command, Ragavan, Scourge, Death Shadow, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Akroxa, some hand hate spells, a couple of Teamer Battle Rages. 5th place here, we've got Fluospar, who played Imperial Recruiter Humans, which is cool to see because Duy and I, when we played the Shardless Agent version of Humans, we disliked it quite a bit. And then I also did a league with Connor Mullally, and we were not impressed with Shardless Agent either. So it's cool to see the Imperial Recruiter version having success rather than the Shardless Agent version having success, because that version felt worse. We got Kiko here at 6th place, and they are playing the blue-white Yorion like value deck, the Blink deck. I love seeing decks like this have success. I'm curious if a 60 card variant would be better, because the Vile decks are so much better when they play Vile on 1, but people continue to have success with this, so it's definitely still a powerful thing to be doing. I'm just curious if eventually someone will find a 60 card variant that is better, but who knows? The deck's definitely solid. It keeps putting up some good results. Our next list here, we've got Moksha, 7th place. And they are playing, it looks like Elementals. They're playing a black version of Elementals. They're playing Lightning, Skelemental, and Grief. And basically what this deck does is they do a lot of sweet stuff with Risen Reef. They get really good value off Thunderkin Awakener. Basically just a really sweet creature value deck, and then they're playing Ephemerate as well.
Yo, the Horde of Notions is awesome.
Yeah, no, this is a really sweet deck. Yeah, Horde of Notions is a really cool one there. The picture wasn't loading up for me there.
Yeah, that with Omnath is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, so do you want to tell the audience
day.
what that one does, Dewey? Or Larry or someone?
What was that?
Do you guys want to explain to the listeners real quick what Horde of Notions does? Hold on. The picture just loaded up for me. We're good.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so for those that don't know, Horde of Notions is a white, blue, black, red, and green elemental. It is a 5/5. It is Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. And then it has an activated ability for one of each color. You may play target elemental card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. So yeah, this card seems awesome with Omnath for sure. That's ridiculous, dude. That's really cool. A good way to abuse the Omnath triggers for sure. Yeah, definitely solid. And then, the sideboard is pretty much what you would expect. Just a bunch of powerful, targeted, effective elementals. 8th place, this deck was really interesting. When I was looking at this one, haven't seen anything quite like this yet. I Have the Fire got 8th place with like an Abzan mid-range pile, featuring 2 Grist the Hunger Tide, 4 Liliana of the Veil, 2 Dothy Voidwalker, 4 Ignoble Hierarch, 1 Scavenging Ooze, 4 Tarmogoyf, 1 Timeless Dragon, 1 Turok Dread Cantor, 2 Dam, 3 Inquisition of Kozilek, 2 Lingering Souls, 3 Prismatic Ending, 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Vindicate, and 3 Fatal Push, and then pretty much what you would expect from an Abzan mana base. And then in the sideboard, 1 Turok, 1 Prismatic Ending, 1 Vindicate, 2 Ashiok Dreamrender, 1 Damping Sphere, 2 Force of Vigor, 2 Kataki's War's Wage, 1 Kaya Orzhov Usurper, 2 Kaya's Guile, and 2 Voidmere. This deck looks really cool, honestly. I don't know if I Have the Fire built this himself, if he got this somewhere. But this is a really interesting mid-range deck right here.
Yo, this is a deck I want to jam next week.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is a really sweet deck. I would also like to play this a lot.
It just
It
looks
does-
like
it does
a
a lot of
different take on and just picking up white for more effective pieces of interaction rather than
Yep.
the red, which was almost like an afterthought in John.
Yeah.
Yep, and they took like the black white deck, and they're speeding up Vindicate with Ignoble Hierarch, which is definitely a powerful thing to do. Some of the early iterations of the Zoo decks were playing Ragavan into Vindicate or Hierarchs into Vindicate, which were my favorite versions because I think turn 2 Vindicating is just really absurdly powerful. Blowing up your opponent's first land drop on turn 2 and being at 3 mana to their 0 is just an incredibly powerful thing to do. And can definitely just screw people out of games, which is, sometimes a really solid way to win Magic matches. I'll go over a few more here, if that's okay with you guys. I think I'll go down to let's go down to 12th place.
Okay.
The Great Slob got 9th place with another Hammer Time deck. So I think this is the first repeat deck we've had, actually, in this. Am I correct on that? I'm pretty sure this is the first repeat at 9th place here,
Yes,
which
it
is
is
a really, really good sign for Modern. And I think a reason so many people love Modern right now is we've literally had 8 different decks in top 8 of this challenge, which just shows how diverse and how different approaches work so well in this format. But anyway, so Hammer Time again. We're not going to go into much detail there. Garrick 911 got 10th place. This is the Rhinos deck, which plays Crashing Footballs, which for those that don't know, it is a it has no mana cost at all. It has Suspend 4, create 2 4/4 green Rhino creature tokens with Trample. And what this deck does is they play a bunch of Cascade spells to cascade into Crashing Footballs, and they basically just kill their opponents with a couple Rhinos. They're playing the Adventure creatures, which are 3 drops, so you can't cascade into them, so that's how they're interacting with Bone Crusher Giant and Brazen Borrower. And then they're also interacting with Subtlety. They've got Cryptic Command, Fire Ice, Force of Negation, Jace the Mind Sculptor, that kind of stuff to interact, and then they just kill you with Rhinos. It's really a very simple deck, but a very efficient and powerful deck, because 2 4/4s on turn 3 with Trample is really, really tough for a lot of decks to beat. Especially when a lot of the removal right now is Lightning Bolt, which does not deal with either Rhino at 1-for-1 value, which is just absurdly good. So definitely a solid deck there. I9K or 19K or Ink got 11th place with the black-green Asmo deck that we alluded to earlier. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here. Basically just a good value town deck, uses Trail of Crumbs to accrue value, and the Underworld Cookbook. And Asmo, it's got Cauldron Familiar, Gilded Goose. For those that have played Standard in the, like a year, in the past year, you'll remember very well what Cauldron Familiar and Trail of Crumbs and Witch's Oven do together. And then, you've got the Asmo thing going on too. So you just got a lot of value going on in this deck, a lot of value train. And then at 12th place, this will be the last one we cover for this event. Igor Meister, 12th place, and this is a Living End deck. And it looks like blue-black, but then there's violet, so it's, 4-color? But, pretty much just the normal Living End stuff. I think, like I was just saying a second ago, so we just went through 12 places here, and we had literal 1 repeat deck, I think. So pretty sweet up there.
That's usually a sign of a good format, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why so many people are loving Modern right now.
Yeah, Modern's just so good right now in general.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a lot of variation, a lot of different cards. A lot of powerful things to be doing in this format right now, and it's been something that I've really been enjoying. A lot of people, every week it seems like people are saying a different deck is the best deck, so that's a good sign that there is no best deck, actually, and there are just a lot of very solid decks
I'm not going to cut Dewey off by any means, but I think we're going to cover the second challenge more in depth on episode B.
Sounds good.
When we're taking our deep dive into modern, because that ran
Yep.
over a little bit more. But there's a lot of information to go through, so it was very understandable. And I don't want to just do the next modern challenge at summary form. I actually want to dig into, because for example, just to give a little teaser, there's 3 different blue-red decks that's showing the top 8 in. I want to see and be able to break it down and seeing what the difference between those 3 are.
Yep.
Right.
And that way we'll have more time. But let's talk about some of the tournaments that's coming up this weekend for everyone that knows. If you don't play Modern, Inside is still running events. They're doing like different formats. Sometimes it's historic, standard. Sometimes they do some Magic the Gathering online tournaments. I definitely recommend people check those out. If you're in the paper and you had the opportunity to register before they capped, there is a team tournament in Iowa this weekend. I forget the city that we're going to. I want to say it's Des Moines, but don't quote me on that. I just know it's in Iowa.
Nice.
Some good players going to be there, like Will Kruger and some buddies of his will be in the tournament. That's actually how I found out about the tournament, was him posting on Twitter.
Nice.
But we're going to be doing that. It's going to be me, Steven Dykman, and James Johnson reuniting for another Magic trip.
Yep.
And
It's never felt so good.
Yep, and we also have other Swish members. We have Andrew, was his last name, Walthice? That's how you say his last name,
That
right?
works.
We have Noah H. And Kyle Montgomery, all reuniting for a paper tournament. And Andrew's funny because
possibly more importantly is the Mario Golf event that we're going to have on Friday night or Saturday night or whenever we're playing that.
You right. Oh, yeah, that's going to be nice. I do know I'm looking forward to it. Dewey decided not to do this one since he moved to the east side of the state and didn't want to add 2 hours to make it a 10.5-hour trip, which is probably for the best because it was, with all his car issues that he was having, it was...
if it was a higher EV tournament, I'd probably try to make it, it's like a 2.5K.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I understand. I mentioned before, I'm going off of the basis of the EV to me is being able to play paper with people again.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But your reason isn't unreasonable either. This is an argument for that. But yeah, I definitely... And also, of course, there's 2 challenges for every format every weekend. They usually do them at different times so they can try to serve U.S. players and players overseas, whether it being Japan, England, so forth. So I definitely recommend. Doesn't mean that you can't play in any of them. If you want to wake up at the ass crack of dawn, so be it. Enjoy Magic as you like.
Yep.
But those are the tournaments that I have on. I don't think. Do you guys know any other tournaments that there might be?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think so. A lot of people are still just getting things up and going right now, so it's understandable that they're still trying to figure out how to approach all the tournament stuff. So
Okay, for sure. Well, in that case, I don't have anything else for episode A. What about you guys? You guys are good?
No,
Yeah,
I
good.
think let's end it and
All
soon.
right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for those that enjoyed our nice little deep dive, get ready. We're going to be going more in depth on some of this deep dive and also talking everything modern in episode B. And also, we'll have a very special interview at the end of the episode with Jaren White talking about transitioning back to paper. So I definitely recommend that you tune in to listen to that. But until next time, it's been Larry, Steven, and Dewey. We will catch you later.
See you next time.